Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Jabba Passion on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I am new at this video stuff, so I hope you'll bear with me. I have some things I'd like to start sharing with you. I think it's really important and actually quite amazing to me. I will give you a little bit of history as to what has brought me to this point. I won't go into detail on everything, but those will be other videos for the future. Again, my name's Jabba, and starting in April of this past year, I began to go through what I now realize as a spiritual awakening. A spiritual awakening is when your life comes to a point where you begin to ask yourself questions like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What am I good for? For myself, that started a little bit prior to that. In 2015, my husband of almost 18 years passed away, and we had 2 teenagers together, and I'm very proud of them. So my husband, he passes away unexpectedly, and 1 year later my son turned 18 and he moved out of the house. And then a year after that, my daughter turned 18 and she moved out of the house. So here I was. I went from being a mother with a family of 4 to being a mother by herself. Empty nester, as they would call it. And I had worked so hard and to provide for my family, to give them everything that they wanted, and to make sure that they were taken care of. And it was a little while after my daughter left that I began to ask myself, why am I working so hard? I had an awesome job working at a factory, making labels, and I was making very good money. But I thought, well, the reason I did everything that I did was for my kids and my family. But now they were gone, grown up, and went on their own. And I asked myself, why am I working so hard now? I really don't require that much. As long as I make sure my bills are paid, then there's no reason for me to be working so hard. It's like, what is my purpose now? Why am I here? Because everything that I've ever done was for them. So that was the beginning of it. One day I was sitting here in my room, and a friend had showed me YouTube, and I really wasn't a YouTube watcher. And I began to watch some YouTube videos, and one of them came across. It says, "Are you a star seed?" And I was not aware of what a star seed was. So I clicked on the video to find out. My friend Doughty was the one that had the video. So after watching that video, my interest was kind of sparked, and I started watching a few other videos. And then after watching those videos, I began to ask myself questions in my mind. And amazingly enough, the videos that would come on after that started to address the questions that I had in my mind. Yeah, it was crazy. And the videos that I had watched and listened to were speaking about angels and Archangel Michael. And what it all came down to was that they were basically, it's hard to explain, but I felt the presence of the angels around me, something I'd never experienced before. Not only had they begun to answer my questions that I was thinking in my mind with the YouTube videos that was coming on next, and then it was like, this went on for 3 hours. And I was like, there's no way this is not happening. It's like there was no way I could deny that there was a communication going on. So I was ecstatic because I was before that I was feeling lonely, because I was here in this big house by myself, and then I started to realize that I wasn't alone and that I had angels that was around me, that was wanting to teach me and guide me and protect me. And so because of how they responded to me with the YouTube videos, and I was new to YouTube, so I didn't have like a lot of stuff that I'd been watching. It was all fresh. And the Oddo feature, where it just played one video after the other, was how they communicated with me. So I just knew that I could trust that, and I didn't have any playlist or any persons that I was subscribed to, so whatever was recommended to me, I trusted that it was meant for me to see. And they had told me that, if I resonate with it, then it's for me. If I don't, then it's not. So from that point, I was excited. Like I said, I was excited, and I had started to talk to them, because they said to talk to them like they're your best friend and they're right there in the room with you, because they are around me all the time. Even though I can't see them, I have faith and believe that they are with me. And so I was talking to them, and I went downstairs. And I keep my radios on a Christian channel, and the song that was playing on the radio downstairs, I guess this would be considered my first experience with synchronicities, is the song that was on the radio that was playing said, "Only God knows what you've been through. Only God knows what they say about you. Only God knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows." And when I heard this, I broke down and started crying. I cried and I cried, and I thanked God for being there for me, and for being there to tell me how much He loved me and how well He knew me. So this was in April of 2019. Fast forward through a lot of learning and a lot of hours of researching. Well, I wouldn't even say researching, because I never looked for anything. Everything came to me. Like I said, I didn't subscribe to anything. I just let what came to me be the guide. because I realized that the angels was using YouTube as a way of communicating with me and to teach me. So some of the things that they taught me about was, crystals and my chakras. I didn't even know what a chakra was. And the Kundalini, meditation, drinking plenty of water. I began to meditate, just never had done it before, but I just started to do it. And what I realize now is I spent like a whole month just meditating and drinking water. I lost a lot of weight, and I realize now that that was the Kundalini experience. That was another topic that I will go into in another video. I had one other video that I shared, and you'll see it. It's the letting go and letting God video. And this was at the beginning of, before I'd learned all that I've learned up to this point. And I was going to take a road trip across the country to go to Las Vegas to see my sister-in-law and my nephew. Well, what I thought was going to be a journey to go across the United States to see the different places and explore the different things turned out to be an adventure into exploring myself and to getting to know myself and to healing myself on all kinds of levels. Now fast forward a little bit longer to present day. They have shared some information with me that I need to share with you. It is important at this point in time because we are going through, when I say we, I mean all of humanity and the planet and the universe. This is universal. And this is what I've been explained, is that the earth is a living being. Her name is Gaia. And that we as the human beings on her are affected by her. And this experience that I have went through, this spiritual awakening, has taken place rather quickly. I didn't realize it, but as I was going across the country, there was another YouTuber by the name of Oddo, and it seemed at the time that he was going through the exact same thing that I was going through and learning the same things that I was learning and had been experiencing on my trip across the country. But then I found out, when I looked at the date of his videos, was that it was like years beforehand. And he had been going through this spiritual awakening journey for about 10 years. And I was thinking, how is it that I'm experiencing everything that he'd experienced in his 10 years of the awakening, and I had only been doing, going through it for like a month or so. So later on down the road, I found out that this was a fast track. I was on a fast track to ascension. And what ascension is a raising of the vibration, an expansion of consciousness. Now, what is causing this is, and what's going to be happening, that's going to affect all of us, is that the planet, like I said, is a living being. And Gaia, Mother Earth, is going through the same type of experience that I myself have been going through. She's going through the ascension process where her vibration is rising also. Her consciousness is expanding. Her, the universe, okay, say we have the universe, and then we have our galaxy in the universe, and then we have our planet in our galaxy, okay? Well, the galaxy and the universe, well, the universe is always expanding, okay? It's stretching and expanding. So everything moves in relative to space, okay? So where our universe was a long time ago, it's not in the same place now. We go through cycles of time, say the ages, and we have recently went from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. The age of Pisces was when man was beginning to wake up and to expand their consciousness to realize that they are not just flesh and blood human beings on our planet that die and go on to heaven and that's it. What happens actually is that, and what the truth is that we are spiritual beings that have come to Earth to experience life. Now that may sound a little funny, but the way that I've been taught is that God, the universe, the Almighty, was at one point in the beginning, He was. And then He exploded out, expanded out into millions and trillions and billions and trillions of particles. And each one of us are a spark of God, a spark of the universe. And the universe did this because it wanted to experience all aspects of itself. So fast forward to what I was just saying, is that I am a spark of God. I am a spark of the universe. And the universe is experiencing life, the good parts and the bad parts, through me and through you and through the plants and the everything. Okay? So the earth is not staying where it was all this time. It's going and it's expanding and it's moving into a different place in the universe, in our galaxy. Our galaxy and the universe is all moving into another place. And there's what we call dimensions. There's the third dimension, the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, and on up to who knows, I don't know how many dimensions there are. But for us right now, we're living in the third dimension. The third dimension is polarity, lack, fear, things like that. The fourth dimension is our dream state. When we go to sleep and we dream, that's the fourth dimension. And then there's the fifth dimension, which is where we are moving towards. The fifth dimension, there's no pain, there's no lack, there's no fear, and everything is good. And the negative and the bad parts will eventually fade away. So I guess what you could say is the fifth dimension is like heaven on earth. And the higher up in the fifth dimension you go, the better it gets. So the planet's vibration, have you ever heard of the Schumann resonance? The Schumann resonance, that is basically the heartbeat of the planet. It runs at about, I believe it's 7.8 or 8.7 on the Schumann resonance scale. And there's a gentleman, his name is Wages World. And the angels guided me to him to basically show me the scientific proof of what I was learning, is that the vibration of the planet is rising. And in the Schumann resonance you can see where the frequency of the planet is going up. And as that happens, and if you read up about the Schumann resonance, is that the Earth's frequency, our bodies are affected by frequencies. And the higher the frequency, the higher the vibration, it can affect our mental capabilities. It can make us feel sick. It can give us headaches. They're called ascension symptoms. Okay? So it's a scientifically proven thing that the Schumann resonance frequency, if it's not there, like if people go down into the earth, into caves where the Schumann resonance is not there because it's from the ground up, it don't go into the ground. The people, like say if they was to go in there into a cave or whatever, down deep, they would eventually just go crazy. They would lose their mental faculties because they don't have that vibrational frequency available to them. So those, and then even up in the space station, they had to have that frequency playing in the space station so that those people wouldn't lose their minds. They found that when they did a study a long time ago, when those people were taken away from that frequency, they started getting headaches and feeling sick, but then when they started the frequency getting exposed to it, they felt better. Okay? Instantly. They were better. I'll tell you this because, and I say you should investigate anything that I'm seeing. Wages World is I've been watching about the Schumann resonance and how it is going up and it's spiking. So what this all boils down to is this, is that there's going to be a mass awakening, a mass spiritual awakening, and that is going to be triggered not necessarily by someone going through an event like I had, where I ask myself why or who am I, but it's going to be triggered by the planet itself, because the planet is going to be rising in vibration, ascending to the fifth dimension, As a matter of fact, it's already in the fifth dimension, but Mother Gaia loves her people, that's us, her children, that's on her, and is working to prepare us for this ascension. And as the vibration of the planet rises, that's going to affect every person that's on the planet. And every person has that spark of God, a spark of the universe inside of them. So everyone is going to be affected. Now, when I started going through this spiritual awakening, I questioned whether I was going crazy. If you can imagine millions of people wondering if they're going crazy. This could be a good thing depending on where you're at in your life and what your faith is, what your beliefs are, what your background is. But there's people like myself and those that have woke up before me that have woke up before this happens, so that we will be here to help those that experience this unexpectedly in large quantities. Okay? So, if you're watching this and you're not awake and you're thinking, what is she talking about? I believe and I've been told this event is going to happen soon. The planet is ascending and she's not going to wait any longer. So, this mass awakening is a good thing, because we need to wake up to the fact that we are spiritual beings here having a human experience, and that we are all sparks of God, we're all divine, and that we are going to be experiencing what we would call heaven on earth. Now, it may not seem that way. The earth is doing things and going through some changes. It's traumatic, and but it's necessary for her to recalibrate or come back to her normal or natural self. Because going through the awakening and going through the ascension symptoms like we humans have, the planet has them as well. So, I guess what I would like to explain and like to share with you is that in the future, the near future, fear not and be patient with yourself. And if you start to experience things that you don't understand and you need someone to speak to, I'm here, and there's others that are also here for you. I guess what I want to say is that you're not alone. You're never alone. Just like I'm never alone. Archangel Michael is with us all. And all we have to do is just ask for him to be with us, and to protect us, and to guide us. And know that I'm there if you would like to talk, if you need help. And to start doing your research, look into what I'm saying. And God bless you. This is my first video because I wanted to share, and I hope that you can understand. Feel free to send any messages in the text below, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have. But prepare for heaven on earth, because we won't have to die to experience heaven on earth. God bless.